All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich Celenza. Thanks for checking out my channel. So what I want to get into today is just giving people a perspective on what I've gone through to help build my immune system. And I know mine's going to be a little extreme, but I think the one thing people should kind of take notice of is their own immune system and how I believe that they can build it into being stronger, I guess you could say. It's just, again, my perspective. By no means am I a doctor. But I have done things throughout my life and throughout my daughter's life that I think really helped build her immune system along with mine as well. When I was younger, I was always sick, truthfully. I don't know what the hell was going on. I always had earaches, toothaches. I just didn't feel that good. And they never knew why. Then eventually I had to have my tonsils removed, which was a game changer for me. I also think living in Chicago, for some reason or another, just depressed me. And I know that sounds crazy, but when I was younger, I just didn't like the darkness. So at 5 years old, me, my mother and father, we went to Florida, and I truthfully never wanted to leave. And then once we got back to Chicago, I swear to you, I never looked at life the same way again. And then eventually at 18 years old, I ended up moving to Florida. But regarding my immune system, I think playing a ton of different sports, including being in wrestling rooms, boxing, and those type of environments where there's a lot of sweat flying around, a lot of hand-to-hand stuff going on, definitely helped build my immune system. But eventually, when I went on to have children, so I had a daughter that had a liver transplant, and she had her ups and downs when she was younger, especially up until about 5 years old. But I remember after a certain amount of time, she had some operations, and everybody was kind of on the fence. Everyone on one side said, Rich, you can't take her there to daycare. You can't take her to pre-K because she's going to get sick with all the kids. And at that time, we're actually back in Chicago because that's where her doctors were. And on the other end, I even had doctors and everyone say, Rich, send her please to daycare a year before she goes into pre-K or school, because it's going to go from nothing to extreme. Help her build that immune system. And that's what we ended up doing. And it was one of the best decisions we ever made. When she did start going into daycare before pre-K, she was getting sick pretty often because she takes medicine that suppresses her immune system. But I had to do that. And what I realized too, after a while, I just had to move her to Florida. She just didn't like Chicago and she wasn't feeling good. But when I came to Florida, everyone again kept telling me, even while she was going to school, because she'd get sick on and off. And what was happening was they were like, Rich, don't take her to the parks. Don't take her to Disney World. Don't take her to Epcot. Don't take her to Wet n Wild. Don't take her to Universal. Don't take her to the mall. Because, again, she would get sick quite often. But what I started to truly realize was she's got to fight this one way or another. Okay? And I think a lot of people go through this as well. They get sick on and off. One is they never really realize why they're getting sick. Like, what is the one component that's making them sick? But in this case with my daughter, I first started with just water parks because I knew there was water and it was outside, right? And even though I know the water sometimes, you got all that going on, but I wanted her to get some type of physical activity where if I did take her to a, Disney World or those type of places, a lot of that stuff was also indoor with a lot of people, plus they're touching railings. It's a different environment than outside, obviously. So we did some beach and we did some Wet n Wild. Then we eventually were doing Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon, which was also water parks. Eventually, I did lean her into start going to the parks more and more and more. And don't get me wrong, she would get sick off and on, but eventually, and she'll even tell you this, she started to build up an incredible immune system. Now, I know a lot of you people don't live in Orlando, Florida, and I get it. But I do think there are ways of building your immune system. You just need to figure out how to do that. And you also got to realize it takes a lot of time. One more thing I would say about my daughter that we realized is like we would go in a bowling alley no matter what, she got sick. I'm just saying, it was kind of weird. We knew certain things that were making her sick because I was almost studying everywhere we were going and what we were doing. Maybe in your case, it could be a certain location, it could be certain people. I don't know what it is, but if you find yourself getting sick quite often, pay attention to previously what you were doing. And I know that sounds crazy because everyone's like, no, I got sick because of this guy maybe, or I get sick when I do this. Sometimes that could be true, and I think sometimes that's bullshit. But if you fast forward even 15 years after my daughter, I started to travel a ton. Maybe even not that long. But anyways, for the last 10 years, I've been traveling a ton. In the same way I was thinking with my daughter is I have to build this insane immune system because I was going throughout all of North America, including Hawaii and Alaska. And I live in Florida, so literally it would go from 80 degrees a lot of times, then I was in 20 to 30 below weather, a ton. I would go from 80 to 20 below to 30 degrees, down to 15 below, back up to, say, California, 70. I was doing, and I was catching, a lot of times, it could be 8 to 15 planes a week sometimes. It was absolutely madness. But the thing is, after I had my tonsils removed and going through what I went through with my daughter, actually us going to parks and living a very active lifestyle, which included traveling with her, I already had a very strong immune system. And then I even took it to another level. I've been very fortunate. I got sick like one time in 20 years, and it was literally for like 24 hours. I just didn't feel good. I broke a sweat and call it a day. Now, I'm very fortunate that way. But again, I'm just here to tell you, if you can, and that's extreme what I was doing, but I still knew I was building my immune system. And I really, this is one thing I'm going to say regarding sickness. Now, everybody has their own path to take. I think when we're younger, a lot of parents, especially if you come from like Italian backgrounds, I don't care if it's Hispanic or whoever the hell it is, a lot of them are like, you're going to get sick. You sneeze. Are you sick? Are you getting sick? It's all sick, sick. I took it on I flipped it. I said, no. Anytime someone ever said, Rich, are you getting sick? Do you think? I'm like, no, I'm actually feeling healthier. I feel better. And as soon as I did feel a little sick, I goof around and say I take 2 Flintstones and orange juice, I immediately went and did something physical. Even if I started to feel shaky, so I'd be like, oh, wow, I'm a little fatigued here. I don't know what's going on. I go right to the gym. I work out hard. I'll even jump in a pool, go in a sauna, steam room. As soon as I start to feel unhealthy, again, I flip it and start attacking the health mode, where I think a lot of people flip it and go, oh my God, I feel sick, I better lay down. Which I understand, if you're sick, you should lay down if you're feeling that sick. But a lot of times, you kind of help build momentum towards the sickness. Now, if you get very sick, I'm not talking about when you authentically get sick, but I do think a lot of times we're not as sick as we think we are. We also, a lot of times, I'm not saying looking to get sick, but it's almost to the point where like you're like, oh my God, I think I'm getting sick, so I better do this. For a couple of days, you're like, yeah, I just didn't feel good. Now I'm starting to feel a little better. A lot of those times, I really think you probably weren't as sick as you thought. You just may have not gotten enough sleep. You could be hanging over. You could be fatigued from not eating correctly or just not being in shape. All those type of things you really have to take in consideration. And also, which I'm going to wrap it up with regarding your immune system, is going in gyms. I think it's a great way to build up your immune system. I don't care what anyone says. And if an LA Fitness 24-hour lifetime Planet Fitness, if those are too big and have too many people for you, I get it. If you're afraid to go in there because you might get sick, and I understand that. But for the most part, if you want, just start off at a small little local gym. But if you are somebody that finds yourself, again, getting sick on and off, instead of running and hiding, I really believe you can actually flip it and start building up. And it all really, honestly, I believe a lot of times comes from mental. If you think you're sick, a lot of times you're going to get sick. If you think you're sick, you're going to feel sick. If you flip it again and say, I'm not sick, I'm just tired, or I'm aggravated, or I'm just going to look forward to the next day of being healthy, not looking forward to the next day of being sick, things change very quickly for you. But it's a mindset. And again, like I said, I think a lot of us were programmed when we were younger, all these things to say, oh, you were sick. If this happens, you're sick. If, all these things. But also, if you do get sick, and I understand everyone's going to get sick, no matter who the hell you are. The minute you're sick, start figuring out a way to get healthier or feel better. And I know a lot of times when you're sick, that's the last thing you want to do is like start saying, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be bothered. I just want to lay in bed, or I just want to just sit here. Don't bother me. And I get that, but I'm telling you, the more you put in your mind, I've got to break through this and get over this, and I'm not accepting this, I believe is a game changer. It's worked for me. I tried to program it in both of my daughters. My other daughter even has type 1 diabetes. So I'm always trying to program in their minds, or I was, even when they were younger, move forward, kick it in the ass, right? You're going to have good days, bad days. I talk about it all the time. But when it comes to sickness or illnesses, you really try your best to look forward to the next day. And I know it's easy for me to say, and I'm not here to tell anybody who's truly sick or who is going through other types of health conditions. I'm not telling you that that's going to work for you regarding more serious type of stuff. This is just really for the average Joe out there that just finds themselves getting sick quite more often than they want to, and they don't know why. Okay, it's just my perspective. So I thought I would just do a video on this because I love helping people, and the only way I think I could help them is by what I've personally experienced. And I share that with people. If it works for you, God bless. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But when it comes to sickness, really just pay attention to your body. Also what you eat, what you're drinking, your lifestyle in general, and I hate to say this, I talk about it all the time, could be making you sick. And for you to sometimes feel different, you got to change your lifestyle. You got to live differently to feel differently a lot of times. And I go off everything to a certain degree, what I feel, like what does this feel like to me? I close my eyes all the time. I just did a podcast talking about this. Even when I work out, what am I feeling? A lot of times we neglect what we feel, or we only feel bad instead of feeling good. And I don't know why, but I think a lot of us were raised in the environment that if we feel good about the future, feel good about ourselves, feel good about others, it's almost bad. But if you feel bad and always kind of miserable, I guess, or commiserating and negativity and talking shit, that's okay. I'm just not down with that. So anyways, please pay attention to your immune system and your body. You only get one, man. So take care of it and figure it out. It's a big goddamn puzzle, our bodies. And every day changes and we're always evolving. So the way you felt yesterday, you may not feel the same way today. And I can assure you in a week, you may feel differently than you feel now. So please pay attention to that stuff. I'm telling you, you're your own crazy specimen and your own experiment, I guess you could say, is like I used to say. Like, I experiment with myself constantly because I guess I don't know if it's self-centered, but I like testing myself and trying different things and seeing what works for me and what doesn't work for me, I guess. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, subscribe. I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I've had my podcast going for well over a year now. I've been doing a lot of interviews with people regarding all different things. And that's the Rich Celenza Show. WTF are you talking about? So if you get a chance, you might want to check that out as well. All right. Take care, and please take care of yourself and your body and others. Like I was just saying to my daughter, a lot of people we're parents, and the way we program our kids has a huge impact on them. Okay, huge. Your lifestyle has a huge impact on them. Your lifestyle can impact your parents, your grandparents, aunts, uncles, colleagues, family members. You'd be shocked. Okay. And, even if my friends, if I see my friends, family, they talk about sickness, I'm like, let's talk about health. Let's talk about getting healthier. Let's talk about, strength. Let's talk about power. Let's talk about endurance, balance, coordination, not all the other bullshit that kind of drags people down. Okay? All right. Take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.